I'm standing by our iron lung, which is one of the highlights of the museum. There's only about a dozen of these in the United States that are available for the public to see. This one came from UCD and prior was owned by the Sacramento County Hospital. It was used in polio and provided a way for the polio victims to breathe. We have artificial prosthetic eyes there, which are primarily a cosmetic if someone loses an eye. Mrs. Chase's creator was a woman who made dolls, and her husband was a physician. And one day her husband said to her, "Dear, the nurses are tired of using straw-filled dummies to practice on. Do you think you could create a life-size doll for them?" And that's how Mrs. Chase was developed, and I believe this is probably the second version of Mrs. Chase. You can see she was available for teaching tracheotomy care. She actually had a repository in the arm so they could try injecting. It was set up so they could do abdominal bandaging on her. And this is a forerunner of the mannequins, simulation mannequins used today, except today you're looking at maybe $100,000 to $200,000 per mannequin. They actually have the equivalent of a beating heart. They can cry, their pupils dilate, and they're almost a perfect replica of a patient for students to learn on. And down here we have Prohibition liquor bottles. The only ones I've seen that still have a doctor's prescription on the liquor bottle. One of them reads 1 tablespoon in water when in distress. We've got 3 amputation kits here. The era would be about the Civil War era. Of course, prior to that, up until about 1850, there was no anesthesia available. A pair of doctor's saddlebags. So they would go over the horse and the doctor would be able to carry his medications and tools in those. These are all mechanical heart valves. A lot of them were developed in Sacramento by Dr. Smeloff, who died a couple of years ago, in cooperation with Sac State and the Sutter Research Institute. The one to the right is pretty typical of the 1950s, 60s, 70s. We have more of those than any other unit that's related to heart exams. This is a pneumothorax machine. It was used before the days of chemotherapy for tuberculosis. It would be used to control the amount of air pumped into the chest cavity to collapse a lung. It was thought that collapsing a lung would help the healing in the case of TB.